So, what actually happens when the police show up at your door with a search warrant? I mean, it's not quite what you see in the movies, right? There's a very specific, legally required procedure they have to follow. It's kind of like a script that's designed to balance the needs of law enforcement with your individual rights. So, what exactly are those steps? Let's get into it.
All right, we're going to break this whole thing down into 5 simple stages. First up, what happens in that initial moment the warrant shows up. Then, we'll talk about the specific rules for how the police can come in and what they can search. Third, and this is a big one, the role of an independent witness. After that, how every single thing they take gets documented. And finally, we'll cover your rights after the search is all said and done.
Okay, so picture this. Law enforcement is outside a location they want to search. The door is closed. This is where the whole legal playbook officially kicks off. And believe me, these first few moments are absolutely critical.
Before anyone even thinks about crossing that threshold, the law demands a very specific opening move. So, take a second and think about it. What do you think is the absolute, number one, non-negotiable first step?
And there it is. The answer comes straight from the law, Section 103(1) to be exact. The officer has to do 2 things, not just one. They have to verbally demand to be let in, and they have to physically show the official warrant. It's that 1-2 punch that officially gets the ball rolling.
So once that demand is made and you've seen the warrant, a whole new set of rules kicks in. These rules govern exactly how police can enter and what they're allowed to do once they're inside. This is really where your rights and their responsibilities meet head-on.
You know, what's so interesting here is how it lays out this clear sequence of events. Step 1 we just covered, they demand entry and show the warrant. Step 2, the person in charge is legally required to provide free ingress, which is just a fancy legal way of saying you have to let them in and give them reasonable access to look around. But what if you don't? Well, that takes us to step 3. If entry is denied or they just can't get in, officers are then legally allowed to force their way in.
Now, this is a huge deal. This is not a process that's supposed to happen behind your back. According to Section 103(6), the person who occupies the place being searched, or even someone representing them, has the absolute right to be there and watch the entire search as it's happening. It's a key transparency measure that's built right into the law.
So what happens if the police think someone on the premises is hiding something on them? Well, the law, specifically Section 103(3), gets very, very precise here. For a man, he can be searched if there's a reasonable suspicion. But for a woman, the rules are different and they're much stricter. The search must be done by another woman, and it has to be done with, and I'm quoting the law directly, strict regard to decency. It's a really clear legal distinction with very specific protections.
Okay, this next part is just fundamental to making sure the whole search is fair and above board. See, it's not just about the police and the person being searched. The law actually requires impartial observers to be part of the process.
So what's the magic number of outside witnesses who have to be there? The law specifies a minimum, and that number is 2. Not 1. It's not optional. It's 2.
And this slide breaks down exactly who these people are and what they have to do. Section 103(4) says they need 2 or more independent and respectable inhabitants of the locality. And their job is not to just stand there. They are required to attend and witness the entire search from start to finish. And when it's all over, their last duty, according to Section 103(5), is to sign the official list of every single thing that was seized. They're basically the public's eyes and ears in the room.
And get this isn't some polite invitation. Section 103(8) makes it crystal clear. If a person gets a written order to be a witness and they refuse without a good reason, that's actually a legal offense. That's how seriously the law takes this independent oversight.
All right, so the search is happening, items are being found. The next phase is all about creating a rock-solid paper trail. Every single thing that gets taken has to be officially and precisely recorded. You know, I'm going to use a direct quote from the law here, from Section 103(5), because the exact wording is so important. It doesn't just say, make a list of stuff. It specifically says, a list must be prepared of all things seized and of the places in which they are respectively found. That level of detail isn't an accident. It's absolutely crucial for accountability.
So, what does that look like in the real world? This table's a perfect example. It's not good enough to just write down laptop. The legally required list has to say laptop computer and exactly where they found it, like the living room desk, or box of documents found in the bedroom closet. This precision creates a clear, unambiguous record of exactly what happened during that search.
And that brings us to the final stage. The search is done, the list is made, the witnesses have signed it. Now we're going to focus on your rights once everything is wrapped up.
So let me ask you this. The police are about to walk out the door with property they've just seized. In that moment, what are the final, legally guaranteed protections that you have?
Here's the bottom line. You don't just walk away with nothing. As the occupant, Section 1036 guarantees your right to have been there for the search and to get a copy of that detailed seizure list, the one signed by those independent witnesses. And if you were personally searched, Section 1037 gives you the right to a totally separate list of anything taken directly from you. These documents are your official record.
So there you have it, the entire legal process. The law gives us this incredibly detailed script, a step-by-step choreography for how a search is supposed to go down to make sure it's fair and transparent. But it leaves us with one final and I think really important question to chew on. How does this perfectly written script actually play out in the messy, unpredictable, and often intense reality of the real world?